Today we're talking with Bill Olson and getting his full review of what it's like being a real estate agent here at Real Broker. And I particularly like this conversation because Bill talks about how what's important to him in a company is the culture and being able to connect with other agents and collaborate and mastermind with them. And he had some concerns that he may not be able to do that as effectively in a virtual brokerage rather than a brick and mortar brokerage. But in the end, he finds that it's actually far better. The culture and the collaboration of other agents is far easier to do at a virtual brokerage rather than his old brick and mortar brokerage. And he also talks about how for him, he really can't work from home. He needs a dedicated office space for him to drive to every day to really get disciplined and focus. And he is able to achieve that as an agent here at Real Broker. Really interesting conversation. Let's go ahead and jump into this call with Bill Olson. Hey, Bill, thanks so much for doing this with me. And do you mind kind of starting off a little bit and telling us, like, what does your business look like right now? Where are you at in your career right now?
So I am in my 6th year. I'm a solo agent, never been a part of a team, never really had a formal team, just other agents that have helped me. Did the grind for a few years, and then met you and Karen, and between the two of you, you were my Jedi masters that taught me YouTube. So that's been really the progression. I've always been into video and technology, but that's kind of my business is the video and the technology. Solo agent, do anywhere from 8 to 10 million a year.
Okay, nice. I love it, man. And so is YouTube your primary source of lead generation right now? Is that pretty much all that you do?
Yep.
I love it, man. I love hearing people say that. That 100% is like the future of the industry. It's kind of creating these personal brands and learning video and digital marketing. And so for you, what was some of the biggest decisions, or what was the biggest factors in you deciding to come over to Real? What company were you at before this?
So I was with ERA for almost 6 years to the day, actually. My license transferred, I think, like 3 days or 2 days before my 6-year anniversary. So my decision to come to Real was actually a very quick one. I know most people take a lot of time to think about it and everything. For me, I actually reached out to our friend, Jeremy Knight, because I had seen he had come over and a bunch of other people that kind of run in our YouTube circle and video circles. And they're all people that I respected. And I had never heard of this company. So I literally reached out to Jeremy and said, don't recruit me. I'm just curious. Why are all these people going to this company I've never even heard of? And so we had to talk about it, and hung up, and that was like a Thursday. And so I created my little spreadsheet, and I looked at the numbers and where I was, where I wanted to be. And by Tuesday, I switched my license over.
That's great.
And I think it was because I realized my cap was going to reset at my old company. So I was going to go from 100% to 80% on Wednesday. So for me, it was that snap decision was, well, if I'm going to reset it, I might as well reset it at this new company, as opposed to paying some into the old company and then switching over, because that cap isn't going to transfer, of course. And, that was a big part. I went from 80-20 to 85-15, which to me, a split doesn't really matter if you're going to cap.
Right.
You're going to make the exact same amount at the end of the year. It's just when do you get it? But the biggest thing for me was I went from almost a 20,000 cap to a 12,000 cap. That was $8,000 just right there in my pocket. That to me was a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm saving over $20,000 a year by being at Real compared to my last brokerage. So you also mentioned that, one of your biggest objections was that you're kind of giving up that office space that you used to have at your last brokerage. And one of the ways that you've found to kind of overcome that is that you pretty much are reinvesting part of that $8,000 that you're saving, and you found another office space for you to rent. Can you talk a little bit about that? Where was your old office, and how did you find your new office space, and what does that look like?
Yeah, well, I rent this office, so I wouldn't say reinvesting.
Okay.
But so yeah, that was my biggest concern was I had an office to go to. It was super tiny. It was like a closet, but it was an office. And when I went in, like I knew my broker would be there, probably Jenny and Robin and Tom and Jerry and Carrie. They were all there. And I'm a very social person. So losing that was kind of scary. But at the same time, I was like, well, I'm still friends with them. I still talk to them all the time. We still call each other and complain about the business. Or, if we see someone got a great listing, we call them and congratulate them. We're different companies, but we're playing the same game.
Right.
And they're not next door. They're literally a mile down the road. I just moved my office a mile. And then, my wife works from home, so I couldn't use the office we have at home. And if I would have taken over the spare bedroom, it would have defeat the purpose of having a spare bedroom for a family to come visit. So I looked around and I found a co-working space that, I think it depends on what your needs are. Co-working spaces are fantastic because there's other people in the office doing all different things. If you need to run an idea by someone, the best person to run it by is someone not in real estate. Because if they don't understand it, then your clients aren't going to understand it. But there's so many different levels of it. I found a building that I could have what they call an executive office. So I have a door, I have 2 windows. It's private. I can record my videos. I can do my work. There's a conference room I can use. There's a small little kitchenette that we can use, and it's great. Some co-working spaces, you might just need a desk with a filing cabinet, and you can get by for super cheap and have that and still have access to, the kitchen, the conference room, the coffee maker, all of that included, and the internet, and be perfectly fine and still have those people around. But then your clients don't have to come to your house to meet with you, or you don't have to go to a coffee shop every time you need to meet someone. So that's kind of how I got over that. It was still a little scary not having people here. But Real has created such an amazing online community that in that virtual space, that it's like I'm right there with you guys. I mean, we've never been in the same room. 2.5 weeks we will. That's kind of exciting.
Right.
But if I ever had a question, like you or Tim or Ramsey or Bob or anyone, like if I picked up the phone and called you guys, like it would be like you were next door. Like that's the community that they've created.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that there's so many, there's reoccurring weekly masterminds. There's several different reoccurring ones that you can just hop in on. And you're right, like just literally 20 minutes ago, I was like, hey, you want to hop on a Zoom call and do a video review of Real? And here we are talking face to face. So, that really isn't that much of a barrier to enter. It really isn't that much of a challenge, not being in the same space. I mean, I think I've known you for a few years now. We've never met in person.
No, because you're like 5'5".
Inside joke. I'm not 5'5".
Inside joke.
I had a
He's
lens.
larger than life.
I got a new lens. Okay, this lens doesn't make
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, some of the most common objections to an online brokerage is one, like, well, I really like having an office space. And you're like, yeah, no problem. You've got an office space. You're able to rent that out just fine. I have an extra room in my house. I like having a home office. And then the other objection is like, well, I like meeting people face to face. Well, that's literally what we're going to be doing. We're a handful of us that are really focused on video and marketing. We're all going to have a private mastermind on these real agents, and we're going to meet face to face. So, I mean, I love how easy it is just to kind of overcome those 2 objections. And what's your take on the culture here at Real? That's kind of another, that's really important to a lot of people, is the culture and community of a brokerage. Kind of what's your feel on that here?
I love it. So it's interesting because still a newer company. I mean, yeah, we've been around for like 7 years or something like that, which is crazy to even think. But over the past year, they've really expanded and grown.
Right.
quite a bit. I think we're almost to 3,000 agents, 2,500 to 3,000
So
across the country, which is still small. They don't want you to recruit agents; they want you to attract agents, and it almost feels like, they would rather have the right people than the most people,
right.
and that in turn is going to get the most right people, I guess. But just that culture of it, to me, is amazing. It's not just someone looking to just, oh, well, I'll just hang my license over here for a year and then over here for a year. It's really bringing people that have the same mindset and the same, that are having fun doing what we're doing. Like,
Yeah.
I have yet to meet someone with a really huge ego in real. And I think that's super amazing, because we have agents that are doing a ton of business, and everyone's willing to help. Everyone's willing to answer a question at the drop of a hat, whatever it may be about.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. I really am happy with the culture here. The culture of my last company was essentially to upsell us agents on more training and education. That was the culture there, is trying to upsell us. And Real doesn't have any products that they're trying to sell us. We're not the mark there. And they've actually worked into the fabric of their business model to incentivize this culture of sharing and collaboration, because we all own stock in the company, and we all have revenue share. So we have 4 or 5 people above us that are incentivized to work and collaborate with us. And I think that really has had a positive impact on the culture. And yeah, so man, the culture, this is the best culture of any brokerage I've been at, and I'm about 6 years into the business as well.
So for me, real quick, like going back what you said with your old brokerage. So when I was with ERA, I still love ERA. I bled ERA for 6 years. And when I first went in, they had this online culture and community of collaboration that to me was priceless. It was absolutely amazing. Things kind of changed, and like that really dropped off. And that's when I really started kind of looking around, and I found that again. And this reminds me of what I had there when that community was thriving in that company, that I fell in love with. And, just like we're doing, like we've never sat in the same room, but I consider you a friend. And I have a lot of friends at ERA that I've never met face to face because of that community. And I see all of that and a little more here at Real. So it's kind of cool. It's like kind of like came full circle to where I started. And now that it's like starting over somewhere else.
Nice, man. Yeah, I love that. And I think you're absolutely right, man. I've made friends at Real of agents I've never met in person. I've never even done video calls with them. I just kind of chatted with them online, and I kind of know their videos and everything. This really is the future of the industry. This is, I made, so I actually feel like I make more friends with this online community than I do when I'm in a actual physical brokerage and I go into the office. I may go into the office, do my training, and then leave. And here, it's just much more collaboration and sharing, which I love. So another thing that people often ask me about is the technology that we get access to. I think for a lot of people, we're both kind of tech nerds and everything. What's your thoughts on the technology that Real gives us, the software and everything that we use?
Everything's so transparent, and the software and the systems. I mean, I had to learn a lot of new systems. That was kind of scary as well. Right. Going into SkySlope, I had never used SkySlope before. I'm like, I have no clue what this is.
Me neither.
They have like the document signing in there. I didn't like it. I pay for DocuSign, which I think as a realtor, we get it for like super cheap. So for anyone with that hesitation, I think it's like $50 a year, but to me, it's worth it. But, we just had our call this week for, rolling out the new app and all of that. And one thing that they said that I really liked was, it's our business. They want to give us control of our business. So you can do just about anything in the app or on the website that you need when it comes to a transaction and making sure that the documents are correct to send to, we're an attorney state, or your title company for your commission to get wired. Like, we're responsible for that. And I like that. I don't have to rely on someone else to send it. And they built all of that right in. And, and then your broker who's over the state, they can go in if something's really messed up, you can get them or support and they can fix it. But for the most part, we control our business in this company. And they understand that. They don't want to control our business. And that's super cool. And their technology helps create that.
Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, I agree. I feel like they're putting us first rather than putting the broker first. In most companies, the broker has all these restrictions and requirements and everything. Here, it's much more lax. It's really putting our personal businesses first, which I really appreciate.
And another, like a little small thing, when I first came over, I sent an outgoing referral to an agent, and I went into the app, I clicked a button, and I downloaded our W-9 and I sent it to him with the referral. It was that easy. I didn't have to email accounting to make sure that it hadn't changed, or a new year comes, so then you got to find it on your computer. It's just right in the app. You click a couple buttons and you can email it over to them. Super easy. Like that. I mean, it's just a small thing, but it's how much is right at your fingertips that they've created, that you don't have to ask someone for something. They're making it, there's hiccups because we're still growing fast, but with those, things are getting more streamlined.
Yeah,
so it's fun.
Agree, man. Like, that does seem like a small detail, but I actually greatly appreciate that detail as well. I also appreciate the fact that I can see how much of my cap I've paid already and how much I have left. At my last company, I would have to go and email somebody and wait for them to look it up on a spreadsheet, then email me back. And same thing with, what my production has been for the last few months, for the last year, for this month coming up. All that information is literally just right at our fingertips on the app, which I greatly, greatly appreciate having access to all that information so much more easily than I ever have before.
Yep. And all your transactions are on there too. So if you're just on your phone and you're running around and someone's like, hey, I need to call this agent, you can pull up your transaction and you've already put that agent's name and phone number attached to that transaction, or your attorney or whoever. It's right there. It manages your transaction, kind of. It doesn't manage it, but it organizes it for you. So all the contacts, all the details, they're right there. So you don't have to go into your emails and find something. You can just pull it right up. That's super cool.
I love the convenience factor of it. It seems like a small thing, but it makes it's the kind of small thing that you realize multiple times a week. It just makes things so much easier.
So much has changed in the world over the past year and a half that, this whole virtual brokerage, virtual anything, has become so mainstream. And, we've really embraced that. And I love that. Even if we start going back to offices and whatnot, this will always be here. This is never going away. And being able to have that office, and your office is people all over the country and even into Canada now. That's super cool. That I can say, Malcolm and I work in the same office. Basically, we do.
Yeah, same thing. And I think you're right, man. I find myself collaborating with agents all across the country and all across my state much more than I ever did at my previous brokerage. My previous brokerage is much more, you really only collaborate and get to know the agents in your city at your specific brokerage. You don't expand out that far. But now it's you're in a whole nother state. You're probably 7-8 hours away from me, but we still collaborate, talk, and mastermind all the time. So if you want to learn more about Real Broker, feel free to email either Bill or myself. We can answer any of your questions about the company, and either of us will be happy to hop on a one-on-one Zoom call with you. And if you are ready to join, feel free to put either of us down as your sponsor into the company. Now, we're not in the same downline, but either one of us would be more than happy to be your sponsor into the company. Or you can click right here to check out some more review videos by agents at Real Broker. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you.